On page AyinBase 5.
In the middle.
Not yet?
Yeah, the line starting.
The line begins Kmei HaShemesh. Yeah?
Say it again. Something about the Shemesh?
Middle of the second section, line starts Kmei HaShemesh. Kmei.
Wait a second.
AyinBase 5.
AyinBase 5, right? Yeah.
Sanity, la place of sanity.
Kmo HaShemesh.
Yeah. So, the point that's being discussed right now is that there is also the oir of the oir atzmi. It's called, and the oir atzmi is also tzurah atzmis. Which means that in the oir atzmi there is not merely the functional element of the etzem, but there is representation of etzem per se. The difference between etzem per se and the functional element of etzem, this we have to discern, so to speak, in our own seichel. We say all the time, and lately we spoke about, we say the das. The animal also knows about the world. The animal also knows this is a wall, you can go through the wall. It doesn't know that this is a wall or this is a house. It knows that you can go through it. The functional element. The human being looks at the wall and says, it's a wall. The fact that you can go through it is only an effect which doesn't define what a wall is. That is what defines a wall for the animal. This is the pshat. You get the functional element of things, or you get the essence of the things. Only a human being has access to the essential reality. Because essential reality exists only on the godly level, and only the intellect can relate to it. The human intellect. The human intellect really perceives godliness and reality on the godly level. So we're saying that in oir, in addition to the fact that oir has a functional effect, it illuminates, but then there is a higher and a deeper element in oir, and that is that it is a representative of the etzem from which it emanates. It carries an essential element. This is something which we ought to reflect upon. Again, it's not something that can be put into words. I can only alert you to it, but to recognize, just like we said, only human mind, human intellect can relate certain things. And we can point to it, but we cannot really define it. At any level, oir is a functional element. It illuminates. However, what we're pointing out is this. There are two types of illuminations. Illumination that fights the darkness. But primarily this is dark. And I'm fighting the darkness. The darkness remains darkness. It's not eliminated. But I'm able to counter it to some degree. In other words, I have functional power to illuminate it. This illumination is not categorically different than if I'm in the dark and I encounter something by touch. I found out that this thing is there. I didn't see it. I know functionally it's there. So in light, it is on a higher level than in touch. But nevertheless, in the principle, it's a similar principle.
When you say like it's a higher level, you mean to say because still it illuminates the whole, like it show you all kind of different things, unlike touch, right?
No. It's a higher level, discussed many times, that you know it because there's a certain truth that's associated with it. You don't have to come in contact with it.
That's still functional level of it?
It's still a functional level.
Truth that you don't truth that you know truth.
No truth about the object, not the light. Then there is another element of light. You said this, the ray of the sun tells you not that I'm a ray. It tells you that the sun is an atzmi, is the heat.
We've learned this before, the quality of the light. What finish is he bringing in now?
Okay, that you'll find out. So this is the principle that we want to understand. That there is an atzmi element in oir atzmi, tzurah atzmis, where the principle, the message of the oir is not that I can illuminate functionally, but that light is a reality. That is a very special message, and that can only come from the sun, because in the sun, light is a reality.
The second light is a reality. It's still in the category of illumination.
Okay, here's where I want you to so to speak, recognize the subtlety. Light is always illumination, but the question is, why is there such thing as illumination?
Mm-hmm.
Is it only because I'm illuminating, or because light is a reality? The principle of the light illuminating from the sun is that light is a reality. That's the principle of the sunlight. Not like a candlelight, which only has the illumination element. Like we pointed out in the past, I said that a major message from the sun, a major effect of the sun is not merely that it illuminates object. It brings day. Day is a categorical statement. Day is not a functional statement. This is why it says, and Akim called oir yoin, because this oil is not even though it is functional, but its functionality is due to its essential presence, essential truth.
There's such thing as pure light.
Excuse me?
In other words, it brings the idea that there's such a
That's
thing as pure,
a reality of light, not a pure light. You know what I'm saying? A reality. What's the difference between a reality and a functional?
It's created.
Huh?
Made by the Creator.
The difference between reality and functional is due to some kind of a activity. Reality is due to a presence. This is why we say the sun is a behidi, not the sun manufactures light. It is an essence behiri. We will always look at light as a manufactured element, because we live in a world where primarily the primary state is darkness. Therefore, the darkness has to be eliminated. Nevertheless, even by us, if we forget for a moment the technical aspect, we realize day is a reality. And the minute there's a day break, it's time to arise. Not because the light doesn't let me sleep, because it's time to get into action. Yes, sir.
So we all got to become tzaddikim gemurim.
That's right. You have to become intelligent people.
Same.
Same. We ought to use the faculties that Abisha gave us, not the faculties that we manufactured by touch. Yes, it is pretty revolutionary coming from the other side. But the other side is the revolution. The other side is the one who's denying the godly creation.
When we say that it's due to a presence, not an action, that we're talking about the presence of the Abishur.
Talking about the presence of the sun, of the light. The sun does not have to act to give light.
Yeah, it's in the sky, but down here they demand, "I do not know your God. Show me your God's power."
Who demands that?
This world.
No, what that about? The man in this world, he uses a little bit intelligence. And goes, oh, yeah, I see it. It's all over. All right, too. Doesn't need to show. Doesn't. It's a reality. The world is not an imaginary thing. It's real.
Well, the people in the world.
The people in the world voluntarily go there. They're not compelled to go there. They voluntarily go there because they don't want to accept the message coming from God. They want to identify it for themselves.
That. How do you fight that?
It's not necessary. It's not necessary. The world is real because God created it. What's wrong with that? All right, so let's try to cross this bridge here. So again, we're in the middle of the second section on page AyinBase 5. K'vay Hashemesh, Shu Behiri, V'hoye Meir. So this sentence over here is loaded, so to speak. The Shemesh is Behiri. Behiri does not mean it produces light. Behiri means that is the definition of Shemesh. This is its essence. I've been saying all the time, the only way for us to kind of put it into words is light to the sun is on the equal power as darkness to us. Does darkness come to us because we actively block something? It's dark. Light to the sun is not an active state. In our seichel, we can hardly conceptualize it. We have that in Chokhmah, and we have it surely on a higher level than like we always point out, Rotzen and Oinig, there is not a means to explain what is Rotzen. Certainly there's not a means to explain what is Oinig. And the truth is, there's not a means to explain what is Chochmah. The Shemesh is Behiri, Be'oyer Meir. The Shemesh itself is Behiri. The oil of the Shemesh is Meir. Meir means it illuminates. But how come it illuminates? Because the Shemesh is Behiri. It is not a separate element, limited to its functionality.
This is Chabad. This is Chabad Hasidus. Nobody else's. Because this is a strength that nobody else has.
Swallow it, grab it, run with it.
But the thing is, so I'm the Behiri, so I'm sitting here.
No. Don't fly off into the sky.
No.
No. Let's continue.
All right.
Behind, and that is true only when we say that the Shemesh is Behiri, V'ha'oyer Meir, which is an automatic reflection of the Behirius of the sun. That is Kasher Lo Yesh Onon Hamapsik B'nei, when there is not a cloud intervening between them. Avol Ksheyesh Hefse B'neihem. But when there is an interruption and interference between them, Harei Ein Ha'oyer K'moy Ha'etzem, then the oil is not like the etzem. Then the oil is breaking through an obstacle. It's a different kind of oil. Ukmoi Yoima de Eino de Kula Shimshon. I'm sorry. Yoima de Eva de Kula Shimshon. The day, the Eva, when there is a heavy cloud that blocks off the whole sun. V'yesh gam oz choim hashemesh. But even then, even though the brightness of the sun is blocked off, the choim, the heat emanating from the sun, is still there. Li is ha'oir boikeyes ha'onon, so that the oil breaks through the cloud.
Because I forgot about that.
Yeah. Benimtza, and thus the oil is present. Gam li'achar hefseg ha'onon. Even after the interference of the cloud. So we have light outside on the other side of the cloud. And here is what we need to understand, what the Rebbe is laboring for us to understand. Yet still, lefi she'enei meir, lefi she'enei dobek b'ha'etz. There is, you break through the honor, but enei meir. But that light is not meir. Lefi she'enei dobek b'ha'etzem, because it's not dobek b'ha'etzem. It's not connected to the etzem. That's me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here we have to put on your thinking caps. There is oil on the other side of the cloud. And the oil is Boikeyas Ha'on. The oil that's Boikeyas Ha'on, this is due to the to the energy, to the choim hashemesh, that is boikeya the olam. This is not light in its pure state. Light, if it's blocked, Light does not have an energy. Choim has an energy, and choim can work through a cloud, a blockage. That choim that carries the oil by keyas ha'onon, that oil is not meir. It lacks the phenomenon of meir, of light, of brightness. Lefi she'ein dovel v'ha'etzem, because it is not dovel v'ha'etzem.
Choim is luminary?
Huh?
Choim is luminary?
No, choim is heat. Again, I said, we have to focus on these words and try. Assume the Rebbe is sitting here right here and talking to you. What does the Rebbe mean by this? Eine Meir. Yes, you said that light breaks through the cloud. But it's lacking the principle of Meir. Why? Because eine Dobe behoet.
How would you have light that's not doubled? Not doubled.
It is carried along with the heat. Eine Dobe behoet. We can use analogy the way light is interpreted in the scientific world, in the physical world. The interpretation of light in the scientific world is that energy, sun energy, hits an object. And this energy cannot go through the object, and therefore it is deflected from the object. That deflection throws this energy back to our eye, and it throws the energy back into our eye with the form and the absorption and the effect of the object. If the object is a bright object, it'll deflect it more correctly. If it's a colored object, it'll qualify it. And this is how we see the object. That kind of vision is called darkness. It's not. This is eine Meir.
Okay, vision. When you see by virtue of light reflecting off an object is not.
That's not Meir. You don't see because light makes you see it. It's a functional action. That's not called Meir. On that level, our eye sees it the same way as a camera sees it. Can you call the camera seeing? The camera doesn't see anything.
Eno re'iyah.
Huh?
Eno re'iyah. It's not sight.
It's eine Meir.
What's the eno? Yeah, that's what I'm not getting. It's eno meir.
As I said, you have to put on your thinking cap.
When light shines onto an object, it's reflected, so it's not meir. Okay.
Why? So now, okay, what is the thinking cap? That forces you to reflect. What does the Rebbe mean by meir, by light? In human parlance, in human conversation, how you want to describe something. Sometimes you describe something in a full detail. Sometimes it's not necessary to describe it in full detail. You allude to things. Sometimes you have a remez. And if it's extremely subtle, you'll only be a remez. What's the difference?
Like sometimes you say even just do with your hand, right?
Sometimes you do the real right. What's a remez?
A hint.
What is transmitted through a remez? Something that has, so to speak, a full physical presence. It's oibically, then you can describe the king. Then there is something that is true only because it is recognized and sensed by the human intellect. It is not a physical presence. That you can only communicate to another human being with intellect. You cannot describe it. That is referring to the oir of this phenomenon. What is the oir means? What is the truth of it? What is it about? Why is it there? What's the spirit behind it? Completely different thing. What is the spirit behind it? This is called oir. In other words, oir, in essence, is bringing the spirit behind the oir, not the active function of the oir.
That's what it is. That's what the real or is.
That's what real oir is. Oir is saying, you know something, darkness is not the fundamental truth. There's another truth. That is true only if there's no blockage, if it brings the atzmi of the sun.
As just read, it's because it needs to be, for that to transmit that message, has to be doved by atzmi, right?
Right. You have oir, but Ayin Meir. What makes sense of that? Yes, Shmuel.
Usually, when a politician or somebody else gives a hint, okay, when he has to speak in hints, it's usually because to say it outright would bring resistance. The world cannot be makabel it. It's something that cannot be makabel. It's
You couldn't find another illustration of that concept for
this is how it is in this world.
Why do you stick to this world? Why don't you get into some
That's not here. This is where we are.
sense?
This is where we are.
No, you may be there. I'm not there. I'm not interested to be there. I want to be here.
Well, there has to be a corollary between what this did, between the hint and
There
this
is,
one and the
there
hint.
is, and that's what we're doing, trying to
A
bring,
hint,
trying to bring this light into
So
the world.
but even in Torah, a hint is usually for hinting at things that are difficult to be makabel.
No.
They're higher.
No. A hint is for things that cannot be expressed in words, and the only way for you to understand them is on a higher spiritual level.
Well,
You have to come to our classes over here. Robots don't take care of you, Shmuel.
then there's,
Shmuel,
there's a lot
Shmuel,
of
this is
room
it.
for
I gave you
misinterpretation.
your chotzet. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
I gave you your chance.
Okay.
You have to try to utilize what is being explained. If you want to stick to your world and look at things from your world, that's exactly what we're saying the whole time. The Rebbe has an expression over here.
Reality
Aburiyoy.
is a fight.
You missed all the whole discussion, Al-Buri. So you were stuck, huh? Having a double al buriyoi.
It's called Al-Buriya.
The thing is.
Buriya means to its own clarity. The clarity of its source, not the clarity, the way it fits into the world, into your seichel.
I have two questions. After Yona. I think that's he was first.
I also have a question.
Go ahead.
After me.
We had the heat of the sun. So, I mean, usually when you think of heat, you think of combustion and friction. But here I'm thinking that's not what Hasidus is saying, or is it?
No, it's like, whatever the energy, the sun energy creates heat.
It's a it's a.
The atom of the sun is not heat.
Right, and that's
The
what.
sun is behiri.
Okay, and that's what I'm wondering about. I mean,
It also I've explained many times that the sun is a camouflage for the real thing.
that is to say, Hashem makes as if it's a burning ball of gas.
That's right. Because light in the pure state would be contradicting the percieves of the world.
Uh-huh. Okay, so in that context, there's also this heat, and comes with that a light.
And it carries it right.
Okay.
Next.
You just explained what remes is. And I never heard such a thing about remes. I really appreciate it. But there is also drush and a soid, you know.
What?
There is also drush and a soid.
Drush and
Soid.
Oh.
Today's a
Soid,
yemen.
yeah.
Today's a yemen about soid, you know.
No.
No, I just want to hear something about that also.
Okay, fine. Next time.
Okay, I have another question. I have another question. You know, like when you say, you have to imagine, the Rebbe is sitting here and he's actually, the Rebbe, when you think about the Rebbe said, about the Frierdiker Rebbe, that those people who saw the Rebbe, they got imagine what he looks like, what am I supposed to do over here? I'm saying, what kind of Rebbe are you talking about exactly? You know what I'm saying?
The one thing you know about the Rebbe is that he doesn't just speak in the air. He doesn't say words because he has got space to speak.
Because he has got the mouth.
Every word is measured. Absolutely measured. Therefore, when he says something, he means it. So either you understand it or you don't understand it. But the word is there, and the least you can do is to try to understand it. But it's not there to be skipped. If you daven and you come to a word that you don't know the translation, are you going to skip it?
Well, I do.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Not because I don't know translation, I just, just because of that.
Yeah.
I would like to know the exact definition of the difference between or and meir.
Meir means illuminating. Oil means light.
Also, meir is a verb.
Huh?
Meir is not a substantive; it's a verb.
Right. Right. All right, this is it for this morning.
Going to do with the beginning of class didn't work out last time because the Mario was short. What should we do?